Hi, my name is Boston John, and I'm an alcoholic, and just making a series of videos based on my experience in Alcoholics Anonymous. One of the things that used to confuse me early on was I'd be sitting in a meeting listening, and I'd be in an open discussion meeting so anyone could share. I would hear a lot of the same people sharing, and what used to confuse me is I would know that these people were new. Not as new as I was, but they were new, meaning I'd see them take a 1-month chip or a 2-month chip. They'd share over and over in the meetings. And what confused me the most was their seeming confidence and belief that they would never drink or use again. And I was sitting there not feeling that confident, thinking to myself, is this really going to work? Can I really go the rest of my life without drinking? Can I even go to the end of the month without drinking? And so to hear these people who weren't there much longer than I was, some of them had been there before, I started to sit there and firmly believe that they wouldn't drink again. That's how confident they were. But I didn't know any better. Like I said, I had no baseline. And so as I got on further into AA, got into the literature, and got into the step work, I started to know more about how AA works. And I started to develop what I call my AA ear, meaning these things that would get by me before or fool me could no longer get by me, not as many things. And I started to wonder, why are these people so confident? Many of them over this period of time had left Alcoholics Anonymous, had drank and used again, had come back again. And after a little bit of healing, they were back to that same person I remember when I first got there, which was this tremendous amount of confidence, the belief that they'd never drink again. This time would be different. However, I knew more about the disease and the insanity. But I used to wonder, how is it? It just can't be simply called the insanity. I remember looking around on YouTube, and one of the things I came across was something called the Dunning-Kruger Effect. And I'll put a link to the video I watched that really opened up my eyes. It made me realize that Dunning-Kruger, that effect runs rampant through AA. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is basically this seemingly overconfidence in people, despite the fact that they're a novice. The thing is, they don't realize they're a novice. With some prior AA meeting attendance, sometimes a long amount of time in AA, they learned the language of AA. They learned how to sound like they belonged. They knew all the phrases. They felt comfortable in AA, and they felt confident. And when you couple that without having desire to drink or use, it's really fertile ground for the Dunning-Kruger effect. I've come to discover that it's usually a lack of insight by people to not realize how bad off they are and to not realize how much they don't know. They would be confused by the fact that they're active in AA and don't feel like drinking or using at the moment. And they would think that the obsession has been removed. So they sit in AA, confident they'll never drink or use again, and feel okay. Feeling that way gives them, I would think, a reason or excuse not to do the work, because what's the need to do the work if I don't feel like drinking or using right now and I feel pretty good? So there's no real incentive. Logically, it makes no sense to do the work. For what? I'm okay. And running with that, they run into trouble and don't see it coming. This effect was something that really threw me off, and something I had to realize that I had to watch for in all aspects of my life. Sometimes I could feel it creeping in myself. I get to something new. I start to understand a little bit. And I go, oh, yeah, I get it. That's AA is a real dangerous spot to do that in. The ability to look inside and to realize what you don't know, and to realize that whatever decisions I've made up to this point, my line of thinking has not served me well. And despite the fact that I may not feel like drinking right now, I've had that feeling many times in my life. I'm done. I always drink again. And to identify that I had the mental obsession, and that at some point, like the literature says, if I have the mind of an alcoholic, the time and place will come. I will drink again. So one of the things that's critical is the alcoholic needs to come in and realize that their way didn't work, and that they probably can't stay sober on their own. And if that's the case, a bunch of meetings and not feeling like drinking, oftentimes that recipe has been used and it hasn't panned out. Looking inside and getting help from others as well can a lot of times put that person on the right path to realize, hey man, maybe I got to do more. Maybe I don't know as much as I thought. And so overcoming that Dunning-Kruger effect is a big foot in the door to getting well. So with that in mind, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. I'm going to go with that.